Good morning, friends. Let us continue our chapter on gravitation. So, we have seen Newton's law of gravitation. We derived the inverse square law. Derived means we saw how is the inverse square law. I hope you remember the gravitational force acting between two objects in the universe is directly proportional to the product of their masses and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. So, we have gravitational force. Now we also know gravitational force is called the weight. So now we write W here is the weight of gravitational force is equal to G M into M upon D square. Also W equal to M into G. That is force equal to mass into acceleration. In previous lecture we saw the difference between mass and weight and how the weight on different planets, different places on the earth differ because of acceleration due to gravity. And why it happens, you saw here that for the earth, the weight on the earth is equal to mass of the earth upon the radius of the earth. This radius, as we saw, is different at the poles and different at the equators. So the weight of an object will weigh differently at different places. And we last lecture we also saw that, sorry, this is not the weight, the gravitational acceleration. And the last lecture we also saw that the weight on the moon is 1/6 the weight on the earth. Now we are done with the gravity, right? And now we'll see what effects does gravity have. So physics is slightly asking a lot of questions and you have to answer these questions. That is the part of physics because one question will lead to another. So now we'll continue. So I hope everything is clear till the gravitational force. So now we are not going to travel to other planets, but we have seen the gravitational force on the planets, on the moon, or any object in the universe will follow this universal formula. But now we'll limit ourselves to the earth. The earth is exerting gravity on all the objects, and what effects does it lead to, we are now going to see. So before we begin the other things, one new topic for today is thrust. So this is another concept of physics. So can you recall how many concepts of physics we have done? The concept of rest and motion, speed and velocity, acceleration, distance and displacement, scalar quantity and vector quantity. Then we talked about force. These are all concepts. Then momentum, impulse, these are all concepts of physics. So each word has got a definite definition. So in the same way, we'll talk about thrust here. What is thrust? The definition says the force acting on an object perpendicular to the surface is called thrust. So thrust is a force. Thrust is also force. But why we are using the word thrust here? Because it says this force is perpendicular to the surface. Means if there is a surface and something is acting perpendicular, we call it thrust. If the surface is like this, acting perpendicular is called a thrust. But sometimes what happens is, in a surface, the force is not perpendicular, but the force is having an angle. Now in the further classes you will learn, when the force makes an angle with the surface, there are two components of force, which the Pythagoras theorem will give. One force is acting downwards and one force is acting perpendicular. So you can see this component here, like we have in the Pythagoras theorem, this hypotenuse here has got two, this and this force. So when you look at a surface, one is parallel and one is perpendicular. So this perpendicular force is called the thrust. So remember, we have just seen that thrust is a force. Thrust is a force, but the force acting on an object perpendicular to the surface is called thrust. Now unit of force is Newton, so unit of thrust is also Newton. Now how does gravity come into play here? When we are standing, sitting or lying down, then we are applying a thrust on the ground. What is this thrust? It is the weight of our body. So any object will be attracted towards the earth because of gravity. So when you are standing on the earth, what happens? We are having a weight, gravitational force in the downward direction, perpendicular to the ground. So that is called our thrust. Now if you look at Newton's third law of motion, Newton's third law, when we are exerting a gravitational force, that is our weight on the ground is exerting an exact force on us equal to the thrust but in the opposite direction. We have done this before. It is called the normal force. So when this weight and the normal balance each other, the body will neither go up nor go down. It will stand exactly at its place. Now the earth has to give a normal force to the body. If it does not give the normal force, it will be an unbalanced force. So now you can understand why we cannot walk on water or why we cannot stand on water. When you are standing on the water, like I said, the weight is in the downward direction. If the water could give a normal force upward, we could stand on the water. But what happens is the water molecules can move around. So the force that we have on this water, that is the gravitational force, will make the molecules move away. So this force is used in the movement of the molecules. So the water does not give us a normal force back. So we'll go inside the water. And now we also understand why it is difficult to walk on sand. You can easily walk on hard solid ground, but you cannot walk on sand easily. Why is that? Because again, the force applied downward, that is our weight. The sand gives us the upward force, the normal, but it is not equal to the weight because some of the force is used which pushes the sand particles away. So when you are walking on a seashore, you will see that when you walk on the sand, the force pushes the sand away. So the force coming back is not equal, and that is why it is difficult to walk on sand. So this is the only idea I am giving you how gravity plays a role here. Every object in the universe or on the earth right now is pulled down by gravity. So that weight is perpendicular to the ground, that is what we call the thrust. And after we have understood thrust, we come to the next topic, that is pressure. Thrust acting on unit area is called pressure. So what is the pressure? It is the thrust acting per unit area. So pressure is equal to thrust, that is in Newton, upon the area, the meter square. So the unit of thrust is Newton per meter square, and this is called a Pascal. Okay? Now see, when we stand on loose sand, the force, what is the force? The weight of our body is acting at which part? On an area equal to your feet. So you can check the length, area of your feet. Look at your feet, look at the area of your feet. So when you're standing on sand, the weight is concentrated on the sole of your feet. When you lie down, when you're lying down, then it is concentrated where? On the whole back. See, the area is increased. So when you're standing, the area of the foot is smaller. When you're lying down, the area of the back is more, means the area is increased. Your weight has remained the same. Whether you stand up or you lie down, your weight has remained the same, but the area has changed. So here the same force acts on equal area, the contact area of your whole body, which is larger than the area of your feet. Okay, so you can see, even though the weight, that is the gravitational force, is the same, the effect of force of the same magnitude on the different areas are different. So what we can say, the weight of the body, the thrust is the same, but the effects are different. So thrust depends on the area on which it acts, which we term as pressure. So on the seashore, you try standing on the sand and see how much your leg goes inside the sand, and try lying down on the sand. You will find you will not go inside the sand. So it is, you can understand, difficult to stand on water, but it is slightly easier to lie down and float on water. So this concept is called pressure. Pressure is the thrust per unit area. Means any body has got a force in the downward direction. If the area is less, the pressure will be more. If the area is more, the pressure will be less. And now we'll see a very simple formula we have understood. Pressure equal to force upon area. Force or thrust upon area. We call it force. We can use this formula also. But remember, what is the thrust? Force acting perpendicular to a surface. Now these are the different give reasons. I have written here different give reasons which can be asked in the exam, and all have got the same answer. Bigger vehicles have broader tires or more number of tires. Means trucks have got 6 tires, buses have got 6 tires. What is the answer here? Bigger vehicles have a bigger mass and hence bigger weight. Okay? So if the number of tires are less or the tires are thin, then the pressure on the tires will increase and the tires may burst. So the broader tires and the more number of tires increase the area and hence decrease the pressure. So that is the same answer. So now you can understand why these bulldozers, earth loaders, trucks, buses have got 6 tires. Increase the area, decrease the pressure. Then same type, camel can easily walk on sand. Same answer, the hooves of the camel are broad. Human feet are small, but the hooves of the camel are broad. With the increase in area, there is a decrease in the pressure, so the camel can easily walk on sand. Then heavy battle tanks can easily move on continuous chain. Now the tank does not have tires, they have got a long chain. Why? These chains increase the area, decrease the pressure. Now here what we did, increase the area and decrease the pressure. Now here we have these cutting tools which works the opposite. If you look at a knife, if you look at the nail, this is the side of a knife, pointed knife. If you look at a nail, it is pointed at the bottom. Here this is the opposite thing. Here the force is applied downward by some person with a hand, the force is applied. But if the area is smaller, the pressure will increase, work can be done easily. On the nail, one side is flat, but the other side is pointed. Why? Because here in the decrease in the area, the pressure has increased. So now you know the drawing board pins are pointed on one side and flat on the other. Now, have you seen a drawing board pin? It is something like this. Yes, the drawing board pin is something like this. Now you press the pin on the board. The flat side is towards your thumb and the pointed side is towards the board. If you look at Newton's third law, the force you are applying on the pin which is applied on the board, the same force the board is applying on the pin which is applied on your hand. But because the pressure on the side of your thumb is less, your thumb doesn't get hurt, and because of increased pressure the pin goes inside the board. Now don't be foolish and try to use the pin the other way. Putting the pointed side on your end and putting the flat side on the board, the pin will pierce your finger. So now you can even see the injections that we have. They are made very thin, very small. Earlier injections were slightly broader, but now stainless steel makes the injections very small. Because of the decreased area, the pressure increases and the injection can pierce very easily. And one more example for the increase in area. When the buildings are very tall, say 7 stories, 10 stories and so on, the buildings are very tall, then they need to have very broad foundations. Why broad foundations? When the buildings are very tall, say 8 to 10 stories, then it will have a lot of downward force on the earth. If the soil is soft, the building can go inside the ground and fall. But with a very broad cemented base, the increase in area decreases the pressure, makes the building very safe. So all these examples can be asked in the exam as give reason, and you have to only mention that pressure is the force per unit area. So in some cases the area has been increased, which decreases the pressure, and in some cases the pressure has been decreased, area has been decreased to increase the pressure. Means when we cut vegetables with a knife, we can do more work with less force. Why? Because we have made the knife very sharp. So we can do more work with less force. Now we'll see one example here. We have a block of wood kept on a tabletop. Okay? The mass of the wooden block is 5 kg. Let me write down the mass is 5 kg. Okay. So if the mass is 5 kg, what is the weight? Can you tell me? 5 into 9.8, or we'll take it 10 just now. So it is 50 Newton. What is 10 meter per second square? Acceleration due to gravity. This is the weight. So weight is also the gravitational force or downward force acting on the body. So the thrust on the body in the downward direction is 50 Newton. Now the dimensions of the block are 40, 20, 10 in centimeter. So this is 40 centimeter, this is 20 centimeter, this is 10 centimeter. Okay. Now how you made it to lie? First you made it to lie on the 20 and 10. So this is 10 and this is 20. So just now it is lying on which part? It is lying on the 20-10. Right? So what is the area in contact with the ground? Area of contact will be 20 upon 100. I convert into meter. See, this is centimeter. We have to convert into meter. Into 10 upon 100. Equal to 0.02 meters square. So the pressure is equal to force upon area. So 50 upon 2 into 100 to 1 to 50 the pressure applied is 2500 Pascal or Newton per second square. This is the pressure applied when the block is kept like this. 20 and 10 base in contact with the ground. Now this block is made to rise. Stand. Standing on which end? It is standing on the 40 by 20. Now it is standing on the 40 by 20. So 40 by 20, this is equal to 10. Now 40 by 20 means how much is in contact with the ground? Area of contact on the ground where the thrust is acting. So now the area of contact, in the second case, the area of contact is 40 upon 100 into 20 upon 100, 0.08 meters square. Pressure equal to force upon area to 50 upon 8 into 100. 4 2s are, 4 25s are, 2 1s are, 2 25s are. So 625 Pascal. We can see when we increase this area, the pressure decreased. It can easily lie. When we decrease the area, the pressure increased. So this is not likely to go in the ground, but this is more likely to go in the ground. There are other examples also. A skating board. Yes, have you seen a skating board? A surfer on the sea. What they are using? Then roller skates, surfing boards, they all increase the area and decrease the pressure. Then snow skiing, skiing in the snow. If you try to walk on the snow, then your legs will go inside the snow. But when you want the long skis, you increase the area and decrease the pressure. So these are all physical examples of the concept of pressure. So today's new topic is thrust and pressure, and we saw the practical examples. Somewhere we need to increase the area to decrease the pressure, somewhere we need to decrease the areas to increase the pressure, and that depends upon the practical examples that we want. Now we come to the next part, is pressure in the fluids. Now you have understood a very simple thing. Every body which has got mass will have a gravitational force acting in the downward direction, right? Which will give rise to the weight. So you saw a solid block had a weight in the downward direction, that is a weight. But what about liquids and gases? Liquids and gases have to be kept in a container. So liquid can be kept in an open container, but gases have to be kept in a closed container. Liquids can be kept in open container, gases have to be kept in a closed container, but in any case, liquid and gases are matter which has also got a mass and it has got a force in the downward direction called the weight, and it is acting on this area of contact. So there is the thrust or a pressure at the bottom. Okay? But what about the side? Does a liquid exert pressure on the sides also? What do you think? And a gas. Gas has also got mass which has got a weight, force in the downward direction, so the pressure here. But what about the other sides of the container? What do you think? Do the liquids and gases only exert pressure on the bottom? Now you know, liquids and gases are fluids. Fluid means the molecules can flow in all directions. The solid exerts pressure on the surface due to the weight, that is in the downward direction. Fluids have mass, so they have weight. So they also exert pressure on the base of the container, that we understood. But why the walls of the container? This is the question. So I told you, physics is making you ask question after question. So ask the right questions, you will get the perfect answers. So on the bottom, because of the weight. But why on the sides? So the theory says, yes, Boltzmann gives this theory that these are fluids, means they are made up of particles, molecules, which randomly move in all directions. Okay, these molecules move randomly in all directions. They collide with the walls of the container. So these particles, they collide with the walls of the container. So when they collide on the walls of the container, they exert a force on the container also, side of the container. Because of the movement of molecules and the collision of molecules with the sides of the container, the liquid will also exert pressure on the side walls of the container. That pressure will be lower than the bottom, but the pressure will be there on the side walls also. And the molecules of a gas, now the molecules of water will move inside the water. They usually do not leave the surface of water. They do not leave the surface of the water. But the molecules of a gas can move in all directions, even upward. So gases also exert pressure in the upward direction. So gases apply pressure in all the directions. But have you understood the reason? It is because of the movement of the molecules and collision with the container. Let us look at an example. If you look at a balloon, when you blow air into the balloon, what happens? When you blow air into the balloon gets bigger and bigger. Why? There is atmospheric pressure outside, but you are increasing the pressure inside the balloon. So because you have increased the pressure, the rubber membrane of the balloon is getting bigger because of the pressure, and the balloon is becoming bigger. But do you see a particular shape in the balloon? No. The balloon will grow equally in all directions because there is a theory which states pressure exerted in any confined mass of fluid. What is a confined mass of fluid means? When the fluid is closed from all sides. When the fluid is closed from all sides, and you apply pressure, means you apply force and contract, the pressure is transmitted undiminished in all directions. So if you look at the injection, there is a needle on one side and a pressor on the other side. The liquid in the injection, when you push the pressure, you are increasing the pressure inside the injection. Now the whole walls are made of plastic. So because they are made of plastic, they will not move. So the pressure will be exerted only one direction, in the direction of the needle, and the liquid will go out through the needle. But the point remains that the pressure exerted is exerted in all the directions undiminished, means it goes equally in all directions. Okay, a confined fluid. So ask the question, what happens when you blow a balloon? When you blow a balloon, it will expand equally in all directions if the balloon is proper. But when the pressure inside increases more, the balloon will burst from the place where the rubber is thin, because it cannot withstand the pressure. So from that point the balloon will burst. Then there are hydraulic trucks and hydraulic brakes. In the vehicles we have got hydraulic trucks and hydraulic brakes. What are these hydraulic trucks? They can carry and download a lot of weight. We'll do this later on, but just keep in mind the hydraulic trucks and hydraulic brakes. And we have a question, a dam is built broader at the base. Why at the base? This is the question. To answer this question, we will see something else. We'll try to find out, does the pressure at a depth change in fluids or does it remain the same? So here we have got a container full of water. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to consider an imaginary sphere. Okay, this is an imaginary sphere. There is no such sphere. This is an imaginary sphere, sorry not sphere, cylinder. I have put an imaginary cylinder of water inside the water. I am considered imaginary. Let the height of cylinder be h. Let the area of the bottom be a. Okay. Now this cylinder which I have imagined, yes, imaginary cylinder will have some mass, or I can consider it will have some weight, that is m into g, which is the downward force. So what is the pressure acting on this imaginary base? The pressure acting on this imaginary base is P is equal to F upon A. Right? F upon A. And F is nothing but the gravitational force acting downwards, that is m into g. So I'll write m into g upon A. Now, we know density of any body is equal to mass upon the volume. So, cross multiplying will get mass of this body will be density into volume. If you look at the cylinder, the cylinder is full of water. So density of water, we'll call it by the letter rho. This is water, but it can be any fluid, any gas, any liquid, we'll call it rho. And what about volume? We know volume is equal to area into its height. So it is area into the height. So volume is written as area into height. Now replace it in this formula, pressure equal to mass, that is mass is density into volume, volume is area into height, so mass equal to density into area into height. So rho into A into H, and multiply this G also, so into G upon A. The A and A gets cut, so pressure equal to H rho G. Remember this formula. Pressure equal to H rho G means the pressure in the liquid, in the fluid, gas or liquid, depends on three things. The height. Height means the depth. Here it is the depth. This is the height of the cylinder, is the depth. So the depth, D, or you can call it H, whatever, height or depth, depends on that. Depends upon rho. What is rho? The density of the liquid. Rho is density of the liquid. And on G, G is the acceleration due to gravity. So it depends upon H rho G. This very important formula derived for you. So what I mean to say that as the depth of the liquid increases, the pressure will increase. So at this depth the pressure is different, at this depth the pressure is different. If you want to find the total pressure, you have to add two things. The atmospheric pressure. How do you get the atmospheric pressure? The column of air above you is the atmospheric pressure and will give you the total pressure. So now I told you the question, dams are built broader at the base. Why broader? Because when you fill the water, as the depth of the water increases, the pressure at the bottom increases. So this wall is made broader to withstand the pressure of the liquid. If the dam is built straight, this will break the walls and water will flow out. So dams are always kept broader at the base. So remember this formula, P is equal to H rho G. We'll see the formula in the next lecture also and discuss some practical applications of this formula. But you saw how I derived this formula just to show you that the pressure increases with depth. So I'm going to end the lecture here. Thank you.